All right, free radicals, welcome. My name is Dave, and this is the Radical Independent. Thanks for coming over here to subscribe. That's really cool. We've picked up subs, and I need to thank my other channel for doing that, and the people who are interested in my views on straight up politics. So here's a bit of a breaking news story that nobody really covered. Naomi Wolf, who is an old school feminist. You may not agree with many of her values and some of the things she said in the past. I believe she did work on the Al Gore presidential campaign, which is sad, but it's true. But it shows you, too, how far the pendulum has swung in the past 20 years, where she's now on the War Room with Steve Bannon. Bannon is basically like a populist who even has a bit of a, I would say, liberal streak when it comes to money and how the government uses money to get things done and so forth. I don't really agree with his economic philosophy all the time, but his show is really setting sort of the standard for activism. And Naomi Wolf has been a regular guest now on this program for months. These two might seem like strange bedfellows. They get along really well. She has been on there a couple of times to say that she didn't vote for Donald Trump. She doesn't like Trump. I can't imagine how she voted for Joe Biden, unless she voted for like Joe Jorgensen, who was the libertarian candidate. I don't know. But bottom line is, she said something very provocative on the show when it comes to elections in 2022. And here we are. It is now 2022, and the elections are approaching. They are 11 months away, but they're close enough now where you can maybe see, the light at the end of the tunnel. The corpse in chief is finally going to be put in check by the Congress, and people who are, registered as independent are running away from this presidency like no other presidency. As much as the media hated on Donald Trump to drive his numbers down, they're, saying that the "Let's Go Brandon" chant is a slur against the president. Okay, well, did they say that when, what was it, De Niro got up there and said F Trump? They didn't call that a slur. You had a big time celebrity just do it. And by the way, "Let's Go Brandon" is, it was almost invented by God, because this way anybody can say it and they know what you mean by it. And quite honestly, if you're offended by something that is less offensive than the original phrase, but yet more universal, then I don't know. This was crafted perfectly. And of course, we have one of those reporters to thank who basically lied about what the crowd was actually saying. So anyway, let me get back to Naomi Wolf, because what she said was really profound. And I watched the clip with my wife and I played it, and she said, yeah, that kind of makes sense, because they're running out of ways to stop the rebellion. The housewives that have decided to go to the school board meetings and say enough with this stupid curriculum, whether it's teaching kids how to be biased against other kids based on their skin color. By the way, in the old days, we used to call that racism. I don't know what it's called when it's sanctioned by the state. I don't understand why the state needs to get involved in this, but they continuously do this. And then they're teaching kids at a very young age how to be sexually aware in a way that is very inappropriate. And most television networks have some small standard of decency and haven't decided to market too much toward kids, although people would disagree. There have been things like Blue's Clues, There's an episode of Blue's Clues or a song in a Blue's Clues episode, which is just, it's like if you were going to do a parody, if like the Babylon Bee were going to come along and do some kind of a skit and make something up, this would be what they would do. So it's here. So Naomi Wolf says, look, all of these restrictions and lockdowns and variants and, this is never going to end, this tyranny. There have been a few news stories today, by the way, saying, is 2022 the last year of the thing-demic? And it's probably not, but they're putting it out there. Maybe they're trying to float a trial balloon like, okay, we've destroyed these people for months, now years, technically 2 full years we've gone through. So even those who are writing these fake stories, they're starting to get tired of their own press. And maybe there are a few people out there, not that they have a conscience, but maybe they're just getting fatigued by this and thinking this is like, sending someone to Gitmo to get waterboarded for 2 years. That's how a lot of people feel. So the brilliant Naomi Wolf, who's an old school feminist liberal, who probably doesn't have a lot in common with most Trump people, except for the fact that she believes in civil liberties. And she realizes that we're not going to have discussions about these other issues until we solve this little problem of tyranny, medical tyranny, and now election tyranny, which she believes in the year 2022, there will be no election. There will be no election for Congress, for Senate. Now, states, if they're electing a governor, yeah, those states might be able to pull that off. But the feds are going to come in and say, nope, it's not safe. Or nope, you don't have drop boxes set up. Nope. I mean, they so want to federalize the elections and make them so easy to manipulate and steal that it just becomes, it's a joke. It's a banana republic. And a lot of people believe after 2020 that we're already there. Now, there are people in all parties, maybe not the Republican Party as much, but who think, there are a lot of establishment Republicans who think, there was nothing wrong, nothing to see in 2020. So we're just going to move on and we're going to do the same thing over and over again. And we're going to expect a different result. Well, that's insanity, number one. And number two, it's going to lead us to having no elections, because the president is going to come in and say, this isn't being run the right way. You are not doing safety protocols, meaning you're disenfranchising voters. Thus, this election is null and void. So if you have the election, we're not going to count it. It's not going to be a real vote. And this is going to be payback for all those people running around the country like Mike Lindell and all these people who are trying to do forensic audits, who are trying to audit the voting machines, who believe in their heart and their soul, and they've been hanging around with IT experts now for 2 years who are looking at this going, or a year and a half, actually it happened in 2020, so it's 2022 officially. So it's like a year and 2 or 3 months, right? November, December, yeah, about 14 months. And those people are all like, look, here's the evidence. And they're using data. They're using actual data. They're using actual algorithms against the system. And these are white hat computer operators. These aren't people who are trying to hack the system. They know how the system works. And you'd have to be really convinced to keep going this long on this, or I don't know, maybe Donald Trump is paying people to continue doing this, but Trump has done very little lately. He should be making statements if he really cared that much. I think at this point, he knows that, well, I don't know what he knows, quite honestly, because what I think he knows, insiders say, oh, the president wasn't aware of that. Like the president wasn't aware of any adverse reactions to the thing. to the Walgreens potion. He was unaware. He did not know. In fact, he went on and said, nah, nothing bad's happened at all. You're just playing into their hands if you go along with this. I don't know. And see, this is why I've just, the whole thing is just a mess. It's a joke. It's a joke. I mean, and this guy who I thought was better, and technically he would have managed the decline better, because that's what he was doing. He was managing decline much better than his predecessor and much better than the guy who was installed after him. Okay. And I will say that it's true. And for libertarians who don't like the duopoly, oh, it's the duopoly, there are better members of certain parties for sure. Tulsi Gabbard is a Democrat. Thomas Massey is a Republican. I mean, Rand Paul is a Republican. There are a few decent people out there, although a lot of these guys, especially Rand Paul, if you're going to throw punches at Fauci, then throw the knockout punch. Don't sit around and get them all tangled up in the ropes and then go back to your corner. I mean, knock them out. So I don't know. Something's holding these guys back. Could be that everybody has something on anybody or everybody. That's probably what it is. And then your career will be over. So Naomi Wolf, who's got nothing to gain by offending most of her base of support, which are going to be liberal, feminist, soccer mom type people, believes that our elections are in jeopardy. And this year, where we're supposed to have an election which restores the balance of power back to the people, rather than just government overreach constantly, this election is probably not going to happen. Now, do I think there's a likelihood that what she's saying might come true? Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. There's a huge likelihood. And if people don't get on this and start talking about it, so the government is put on notice that, hey, we know what you're going to do, and if you do it, we're on to you, and you can't do it, it's not constitutional. I mean, they're going to declare war against a floating particle. They're going to, they'll have a vote, right? They're declaring war on this, and we'll use the War Powers Act to fight it, which means if we need to suspend elections or do martial law in order to defend the country against this plague, we will do it. And hence, sorry, we're going to have to postpone or suspend elections until further notice. So is it far-fetched? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think Naomi Wolf is crazy? I don't. I think she's spot on. And a lot of people just, even Bannon was like, no, don't say that. No. Hey, I've got to go to a commercial break. Shut up. So I watched the whole segment, and Bannon was definitely like, he knows that this is their next move. Maybe he knew it, and he didn't want her saying it out loud to give them any ideas, right? But if they had already planned, look, they planned 2020, they planned the current thing that's happening to the country and the world, they planned it, absolutely. They war gamed all of this stuff. They knew as early as 2015 that they were going to launch this wonderful, I don't know if they would have launched it against Hillary, but certainly they probably did it just in case somebody got in there who wasn't going with the whole Klaus Schwab agenda. And because there are definitely people in higher places, in dark, high places, who are doing just awful, satanic, and nefarious things to this planet and to the people who are just trying to make ends meet and trying to survive in this world. So president really isn't in control, as you can see. He's a figurehead. He's a puppet. The last guy pushed a little against it, and I think toward the end said, screw it. And that's why he's out there with Bill O'Reilly, touting the amazing work of companies like Pfizer, because he's just going to play. He's going to play, and he thinks he's going to get back in because he's playing the game now completely. He still played pretty well when they shot missiles into Syria because his son-in-law is connected with Netanyahu or whoever. And don't get me started on Israel. That will be a separate video because I do want to cover that, because this blind support of Israel, it isn't working anymore. If you're a Christian and you're blindly supporting Israel because of Old Testament stuff, and you're looking at God's chosen people, that ain't true anymore, because their behavior right now would indicate that they have no business being God's chosen people for the most part, for the majority of their citizens. And yeah, do I believe in replacement theology? 100%. 100%. I mean, we can argue about that, but there's scripture to back up both sides. But look at what's happening. So when a prophecy is fulfilled, you say, okay, then it validates the scripture that backs up that claim. Anyway, Naomi Wolf is a truth teller. She's got nothing to gain by going on with Steve Bannon and talking about this stuff, other than the fact that people are reaching out to her who would have never reached out to her before. And it is forming coalitions between people that at one time were at each other's throats. So it is kind of good in a way that the negative circumstances are bringing people together. But that's about all we have right now. We have each other to lean on as we watch America turn into a banana republic. So that's my commentary on the possibility that there will not be an election this year, or maybe there'll be an election, but the votes won't matter. The votes won't count because of the evil plague that the country is battling. States might be able to elect governors and state representatives, which will be helpful. But at the national level, if things don't change and we have to continue with this evil agenda that is being put out there every single day, the devaluing of the currency, the lack of concern at the border. By the way, that's where I disagree with libertarians. I want a secure, safe border. If you want to streamline the process, if you believe in capitalism, if you believe in all of the libertarian tenets, then guess what you need to do? You need to have people coming here who are going to add, who are going to bring something to the table, or at least are eager and want to contribute. Because right now we don't have enough money in the pipeline for these people to just continuously come to the country unchecked. And so I would say, sure, immigration can be very good for the country, but we need to know who's coming. We need to know why they're coming. And if you're going to test everybody on the planet, right, for the thing, then if you're really concerned about that and you think you're an equal opportunity tester, then the people coming over the border, they also need to be tested. Now, do I think testing is a good thing? No, because it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment, and nobody should be tested. And people, if they want to privately test, then that's fine. And then they can keep those results to themselves. But once the government owns the test and they have the results, what are they going to do with that data? Again, huge questions, and questions, by the way, that Naomi Wolf has raised before on this program with Bannon. So anyway, that's my video. I could go off on other tangents, but again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell if you want notifications when new videos appear. I don't do content on this channel every day. If the channel starts growing a bit, I may do daily content, like maybe just one video per day. But right now it's a little up in the air as to how much content I'm going to do. We'll see what the response is and where we go from here. Okay, done. And we'll see you soon.